Page 15, for he's a jolly good fellow. 3/4 time. Let's change. Let's take this one hand at a time at first. Make sure we got the hands figured out. You can start with the right hand. When it comes in, you have a D and a G and 2 and 5. Puts you in this position. So it's on the first full measure there. It's a 1, 2, rest. So you're just playing on beat 2. Go over a couple measures to the next one. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's an F sharp there. Second line. So count this out carefully because you got rests all over the place. It's weird. Go all the way down to the bottom. Last 2 measures. It's a D, and that D is tied. So you're gonna hold it down. Just add the G to it. So you got both of them there at the end. Left hand gets the melody. This is the fun part here, and here. So you're in this position. We're in middle C position. But we're coming in on a pickup beat. See, the first measure only has 1 count in it. Well, the last measure has 2. So what they did is they take the last measure and they take the end of it and they put it at the top. We're coming in on beat 3 is what I'm getting at. So it's 3, 1. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know, a dotted half note is the same as 3 quarter notes. If you don't, you do now. Just memorize that. A dotted half note is same as 3 quarter notes. Here it gets 3 counts because a quarter note gets count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I don't want to play all this for you. You can play it and get it. Let's go down to the bottom, the last 2 measures. You have a G, and that G is tied to another G, and that's tied to another G. That's how you tie notes together. You can only tie 2 notes at a time, but you can string them along, and that's like one great big long tie. So once I play that G, I'm going to hold it down for the rest of the piece. I'm going to add the B to it, and that B is tied to the next B, so it's going to be held down for then on. Here. Put the hands together carefully. This is at the beginning. No? Keep up. No. 1, 2. So I'm going to hold that down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I'm holding the left hand down as I play that because it's not a rest. There's a half note. 1. So for 1 beat, all these notes are down. Notes are down for 1 beat. All these together. So make sure you're holding those left hand notes down. The rest are in the right hand. Now let's jump down to the last line. You're here. This is melody. By the way, the right hand got some melody. Isn't that nice? Hold that down. Now the last 2 measures. You're holding each note down from all this. You're just building the chord up. You're holding it down. Now we go back and we add, well, there's no real articulation. You have slurs for the melody. So lift up between the slurs for the melody, and the other hand, you're just pushing it down for the note for 1 beat or whatever it is, and then lifting it up. And that's it. So dynamic-wise, it's loud. That's the melody. Keep these chords a little softer than that. As you play this, I still want to hear this. Last note of the second line is moderately loud. You come down just a little bit to moderately loud, and then you're going to crescendo back up to loud in the third line. Don't get loud to the last measure, so plan it out. Maybe for the first couple of measures or so, I don't change hardly at all. I stay here. Now come up a little bit. There. That's loud. And you stay loud for the rest of the piece. But this gets tricky. So watch out here. This is the third line down, the last 2 measures. That C is melody, but the next notes the left hand plays is not. Come down. So it's here and then softer. In the right hand, you have the chords. Those aren't melody. Those are not quite as loud as this. This is loud. But then in the next note, where the fermata is, the next measure, the E in the right hand is melody. That's what we want to hear. That's loud. So you got to come from sort of soft to loud. All of a sudden. So it's here. That's the melody. That's what we want to hear. And that's what the tricky part. It's kind of a hard arrangement here. But here. So try and do that if you can. The melody is from the C to the E. That's what we want to hear. You keep everything else softer than that if you can. Takes a little practice. If you work on it, you will get it eventually. And then you're still loud, and that's the melody. So it's where the words are. This is softer and then loud. And the rest of this is softer. I want to hear this G all the way through as you play these other notes. Here, that's what we want. Now these fermatas they've got on here, you just kind of hold these out till it feels right and then you go on. There's no set time for them. When I play with a metronome, I need to stay with the metronome, so I just double the value. So instead of 2 beats, I'm going to hold it for 4 counts. And the last measure, that one, when I play that G, I'm going to hold that for 4 counts, and then everything comes up together. That's the way I do the fermatas with a metronome. So it's a little tricky. Now they have a note at the bottom saying pedal optional. There. I would suggest you not use the pedal optional, but they are using a technique that is sort of pedal. And I want to talk about that briefly. It's a more advanced technique, but they're putting it in here, so I'll talk about it. It's called finger pedaling. It's where you hold the notes down with the fingers longer than they're marked, so the sound continues to ring out, which is what the pedal would do, sort of. So you're using the fingers like a pedal. You're holding the notes down with and when they tie these notes at the bottom in the last 2 measures, these notes are all tied. Right until at the end you got all 4 of them down, because you don't need that. You can do that, but we don't want that. We want all the notes. And when we hold them down like that, that's finger pedaling. We're pedaling with the fingers instead of the foot. So I would suggest leave out the pedal, because we're doing it with the fingers. That's good enough. Yeah, that's fine. The pedal adds a lot of overtones, and it changes the tone quality of the sound. I would not want to play this whole thing at one tone quality, so to speak, and then suddenly change it at the end. To me, that's really inappropriate. And a lot of method books I'm seeing are doing that. At the end, they add the pedal at the end. And in my opinion, that's just wrong. Just don't. If you're not going to use pedal earlier on, don't use it at the end either. That's my rant. That's all I have to say about that. Speed-wise, it says fast. Now, it's not moderately fast. This is a happy piece. This is you're singing to somebody, he's a jolly good fellow, or she's a jolly good fellow, or have another beer, or I'm not sure what's going on there. I would like to play it with you really super slow to double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do any dynamics, just notes and rhythms. And so I'll give us 2 counts because we come in on beat 3. Let's try it together. We've got to just make sure you have the right notes at the right time. Ready, go.